Hi everyone, this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make a pretty simple, quick little pair of earrings. This is the same stitch that we were using for the Caged Crystal Bracelet, but today I'm going to use a heart in the center. I'm going to use roundel crystals instead of an 8/0, and I'm going to add a little embellishment on the top. Now you can use the crystal or the bicone or whatever you use to match your bracelet in the center. You don't have to use a heart. That's just what I chose to do today. You can also use your 8/0 seed bead. You don't have to use the little roundel crystals. I just thought I'd make it a little bit fancier, kind of a little Valentine's Day thing. So what we have done here also is we've embellished both sides, a little embellishment on the top. Of course, you don't even have to add the embellishment if you don't want to have it further match your bracelet. I just think that it adds a little something to it. It's a little plain without it. So I did it on both sides because this style of earring has a tendency to turn and move when you're wearing it, and you don't want it to flip around and be backwards or not show a nice uniform little dance when it does its thing. So this is what I've done, and I'm going to show you what I used to do it with. So you will need 2 center beads. If you want to continue with your little bicone crystals or whatever you used in your bracelet, your hearts, your whatever, that's fine. But you will need 2 of your center beads. These are 15mm faceted glass hearts. Then you will need either an 8/0 or this is a little 2x3 roundel crystal. I'm using an amethyst color. You can use your 8/0s if you'd like, and you'll need 15 of them. This is what you'll need for both earrings. Then you'll need an 11/0 seed bead. I'm using a Toho crystal silver lined. Then you will need 16 6mm or whatever size you'd like to use glass pearl. And you will need 2 ear wires. I'm using just a little sterling silver fish hook. And you will need 2 wire guardians. Now let's get started. So thread onto your beading needle about a yard of 8-pound or 6-pound Fireline. And then start by picking up a crystal, a pearl, a crystal, excuse me, a pearl, a crystal, a pearl, a crystal, and a pearl. So you have 4 pearls, 4 crystals, and you've started with a crystal and end with a pearl. We're going to bring it down, leaving a short tail. We are then going to sew back through all of our beads, simply because if you tie a knot in this, it's difficult to go back through with your embellishment. So we're going to avoid tying a knot. So through all, I'm holding on to my tail just to make sure that it doesn't all slide apart here. Pull it into a circle and then sew through all of them again. Okay, so now I've gone past the joint of where my tail and my working thread cross, and I'm just going to pull on both the tail and the working thread. Try to get this nice and tight. Okay, so this is what we have. Now we are going to make our little extension at our center bead, and we are coming out of this front little top little roundel here. And we will pick up 3 11-ohs, a crystal, your center bead, a crystal, and 3 11-ohs. And we will drop them down just so that we don't confuse them with our unit beads. We have to start our next unit, so we will pick up a crystal, a pearl, a crystal, a pearl, a crystal, and a pearl, a crystal, and a pearl. So again, we have 4 pearls, 4 crystals. Start with a crystal, end with a pearl. Bring them down. Now, this will be our little opposite unit. So we are going to come through the first crystal and the first pearl we added in our unit. Avoid the extension beads. Now at this point you want to make sure that you have really good tension all the way through your extension so that there's no slack whatsoever. Your unit may be a little loose, and as we sew through that, that will tighten up. We will sew all the way through and come out this roundel now. But hold on to them, just kind of keep them stable so that they don't spread apart too much. And come up through the roundel. Okay, make sure that your tension is good. And that's what you should have so far. Now we need to sew up through the crystal and the center bead, and to get there we need to pick up 3 11-ohs. Then we will sew up through the crystal, the heart, or whatever center bead you're using, and the crystal on top. And pull. And tighten everything really well. That's what you should have so far. Now we need to come up into this roundel. So we need 3 11-ohs, and we will slide up through this roundel and the pearl on top of it. And pull it through. Now we need to make everything really tight. We don't want any slack whatsoever. We don't want it all bunched up either. But if you don't get your tension right now, you can't go back and get it right from this point on once we start our embellishment on the top. So make sure that everything is nice and pulled tight. And then we are coming out of this top bead here. We're going to just sew around our entire unit, simply to make sure that our extension stays tight. So just pick it up and just start sewing around. And pull as you do so. Avoid the 11-ohs in your extension, but include your roundels, of course, in your unit. Now as we come around this side, we're going to go up the bottom roundel in the pearl, but we're not going to go up this into this top roundel right here. We're going to stay just coming out of the pearl. And we are now going to start our embellishment. We're coming out at the top of this pearl. We will make a diagonal and come through the bottom of this pearl, the opposite pearl. And to get there, we will need 3 11-ohs, a crystal, and 3 11-ohs. Drop them down, and then come up through the opposite pearl on the bottom. And just the pearl, not the either roundel. And pull. Just kind of squish everything into place here. And this is what you should have. So you can see the embellishment there. Now, to finish our embellishment, we need to sew through this crystal and then through the bottom of the opposite pearl. We're coming out of the top of this pearl. We want to go in a diagonal into the bottom of the opposite pearl. And to get there, we need 3 11-ohs. And we will sew through the crystal and pull. And tighten everything up. And now we need to come into the bottom of this pearl, but we need 3 11-ohs on our needle first. And then we will just go into the pearl, not the roundel on the top or the bottom, and pull. And there's your embellishment. Now we're going to turn our piece over, and we're going to do the same thing. We are going to add our embellishment at a diagonal. We're coming out at the top of this bead. We're going to work into the bottom of this opposite bead. So we will need 3 11-ohs, a roundel, and 3 11-ohs. Then we will come into the bottom of the opposite pearl. Let me get so you can see what I'm doing here. And that's what I have. Arrange it nicely here. And then we will do the same thing. We're coming out of the top of this pearl. We need to work into the bottom of this pearl. So we will pick up 3 11-ohs. Go into the roundel in the middle. Pull. Arrange everything nice and neat. And now we're coming out of the roundel. We need to work our way into the bottom of this pearl. So we need 3 more 11-ohs. And we will come up through the pearl. You can come through the roundel this time too if you'd like. And that's what we have. Let me turn it back around here. Now, I am coming out of this little roundel on the top here. Just going to kind of move my tail aside, and I'm going to add my clasp, or not my clasp, but my wire guardian so I can put my ear wire on. So I am going to pick up 3 11-ohs. Use 3 or 4? 4 this time. 4 11-ohs and a crystal. And drop them down. Pick up a wire guardian and slide your needle up one side. and drop it down. Then slide your needle through the other side of the wire guardian, pinch the wire guardian, and guide your thread into the divot on the top and pull. Now come down through the crystal, not the 11 O's that you just added, just the crystal. Hold on to your wire guardian and pull. Pick up 3 11 O's and come down through the roundel where your tail is coming out. And go ahead and go into the purl underneath it. Pull everything very tight. Now we're just going to sew through this entire unit and sew back up one more time through the wire guardian. So let's just go through the roundel here. Into the purl. Into the roundel and the purl. Up through the roundel. Into the 11 O's you just added for your wire. And up through the crystal. And now we will sew through the wire guardian again. Come through the divot in the crystal at the same time if you can. Pull it through and squeeze so that your thread doesn't pop over the top of the wire guardian. And then sew down the other side of your 11 O's. Pull tight. And now just lay down your piece and pick up your straight nose and squeeze your wire guardian so that it lies really nicely on top of the crystal. Going through it twice for a pair of earrings is fine, and the wire protector of course is going to protect the thread, so that should be good enough. We're going to now sew down into the purl underneath the roundel. I'm going to turn my work around so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to sew through this roundel on the bottom here. I'm going to sew through my extension now. All of my seed beads right here. Into the crystal and the heart and down through the crystal. And now I'm going to sew down into one side of the 11 O's. And through the roundel, and then through the purl. So all I did was just travel from exiting out of this bead after I went through the top of my wire protector. And this pearl, the roundel and the pearl, this roundel, traveled down through the three, actually 11 O's, into the crystal, down through the heart, through the crystal, and down through the 11 O's, the crystal, through the pearl. And now I'm exiting the bottom of, through this pearl. And now I'm exiting the bottom of the pearl. Let's back off a little bit here. It's getting too long to stay in that little frame here. Okay. So now I'm coming out of the bottom unit, out of the bottom of this pearl. And I'm going to pick up 3 11 O's, a crystal, and 3 11 O's. I'm going to make my embellishment in a diagonal, so I need to go into the opposite bead. I'm coming out of the bottom, so I need to go into the top. So I'm going to sew down through just the pearl, and pull. And that's what you should have there. Now I'm coming out of the bottom of this one. I'm going to pick up 3 11 O's. Slide through the roundel. And pull. Arrange everything nicely. Now I'm going to pick up 3 11 O's, and I'm going to go through. I came out of the bottom of this one. I'm going to go through the top of this one, the opposite bead. And that's what you should have. Now we're going to turn our work over. And we are going to now do our other embellishment, and we are going to we're coming out the bottom of this bead. We have to go into the opposite bead in the top. So again, we're going to pick up 3 11 O's and a crystal and 3 11 O's. Drop it down. And then sew through the pearl on the opposite side into the top. And pull. Now we're coming out of the bottom of this bead. We need to work over into the top of this bead. So we will pick up 3 11 O's, come through our roundel, and pull. Tighten everything up. Pick up 3 11 O's, and then come down through the top of this bead. If you'd like, at this point, you can come down through the roundel. It doesn't matter. And now we're just going to sew through our unit and tie off. And once you do that, I'll be back and we'll put our ear wire on. You can also put your needle on your tail and sew it through. Either that, or you can just put your needle on and tie it off and cut it off. Okay, so I went ahead and sewed through my unit one more time. Just grabbed the thread bridge between the roundel and the pearls and tied off, and then went through my unit one more time. And then I just cut off my tail. It's sewn through quite a bit. I think it's pretty secure. I cut that off. Now I'm going to open my ear wire, just like that. You can use a jump ring if you want, but you'll have to use 2. If you use 1 and put it through your wire guardian and then through your jump ring, your earrings will hang kind of funny. They'll hang sideways. So I'm just going to attach it directly. So I just opened up my wire and close it. Make sure it's closed tight. And now you have a pair of earrings to match your bracelet. And that's what they look like. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope my hands weren't in your way too much. Working on these little things, it's a little bit harder for me to keep out of your way. Just leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions or just want to talk. Okay, bye-bye.